Sometimes we overpay the wrong people and then we underpay the right people.
And if you don't enjoy being around them, you're going to resist being with them to create the content and strategize.
What up, REVB fam? Welcome back to another real estate video blueprint podcast with Katie Day and Tim Macy. We are here welcoming our guest, Katie Neason. What's going on?
Dude, I am so happy to be here. It's so fun to talk about something a little different. I'm excited to talk about the social media side and building the brand. I don't get to do that often.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Before we started recording, I was saying, I think you just popped up on my, explore page because you're not too far away from Houston. And then when I started kind of seeing what you were doing and kind of your journey, I was like, man, this is really interesting. So it's been fun to follow along. And I'm really excited to dig in a little bit deeper and kind of get to know you and what you're doing. For those that don't know you, your content is a mix of, investment, development, stuff like that. Walk us through kind of your journey as an investor and kind of how that started.
Yeah. So I grew up in a real estate family. My mom was a realtor. My dad was in construction, and we went through the savings and loans crisis here in Texas. It was really bad in Texas and California. We lost everything. So the one thing I knew is I did not want to do real estate. So I went to college like society said I should, and I got a nice, safe job at a bank and had a safe paycheck and safe benefits and all the safety of the future, and then missed my son's first steps and said, well, screw this. I'm building somebody else's future at my own expense. So I created a plan to be able to walk away from W-2 income. And that plan started with flipping houses. And so I flipped houses for over a decade. And then went, well, this is dumb. This is just another job. I'm just writing myself the paycheck instead of someone else writing it for me. So we were like, what kind of real estate? And when I say we, I coerced my mom into being my business partner because she understood the market and kept us out of trouble and all of that stuff. And I was just like, let's go, 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 go. So it was a good balance. And then we're like, what kind of assets do we want to own? Well, what we loved about flipping was the creativity and bringing something back to life instead of just assuming that it was, doomed for destruction. And we loved that part. We were super proud of it. Our egos were big. We were kind of known for it. And so we're like, well, we want to own assets that when somebody comes to town, we want to show them off. We're not like, yeah, we're not going to take you by that horrible place that we own. And there was a boom going on in downtown. And that just kind of kept pushing us that direction. Like, it'd be cool is to create really amazing buildings that are walkable, a different life that you go and vacation to, all the amazing cities you want to be in when you vacation. Like, why can't we build that here? Why are we building cities we want to escape from and then go into vacation in cities that we don't build anything like them? So that's kind of how our development passion started. We know what the hell we were doing. We did everything wrong, but we just started doing it.
I mean, I think the best journeys are the ones where you kind of don't know because, we always talk about you can't learn how to do push-ups by reading about it. You've got to do them. Right. And so you kind of fumble through and you figure things out. And that's, so how long ago was that when you guys were like, okay, we're going to stop flipping and we're going to do something bigger?
So it was a transition, but our very first development we did our first ground up development and our first restoration of an old building basically around the same timeline. And that was in 2016.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been almost 10 years that we've been building, and we've probably done about, 13 or 14 development projects since then. And so, but that first lot we bought, we had this grand vision. There were 3 little small houses, modular houses. We're going to tear them down, put in 5 townhomes. New construction housing had not been built in our downtown in my lifetime. And I am no spring chicken. And so we didn't know comps. We didn't know if it would sell, but we're like, surely we can at least rent them. People are living in lofts. And if people are living in lofts and renting, surely there's some population that would want to buy. And so that's how we got ourselves comfortable. So we go to the city and we share this grand vision. And they were like, those lots, once you tear the houses down, they're too small to be built on. You're not allowed to build townhomes over there. And we wanted 20-foot wide townhomes. And they were like, and the city ordinance says they have to be 25-foot wide. And that's when we were like, dude, we don't know what we're doing. We had no idea what we were doing. So yeah, it was just a live and learn, but we were in a market. For us, it was great because the city said, but we love what you're doing and we're going to help you guys get that done. So that was lucky break number 1. And then it was at a time in the market when it was very forgiving. So you were able to make mistakes and recover, and the market is much less forgiving today. If you make a mistake, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a really fun topic. And I feel like we go a lot of different directions because I have a lot of our agents want to do more investing. They want to do more stuff. But the question I want to ask is, at what point did you say, hey, we should start documenting this? We should start sharing what we're doing.
Yeah. So it's interesting because on the flipping side, we started like our business page on Facebook back in the day. Because, we did that from 2015 is when we went full time into real estate investing. But we had done it probably 8 years even before we went full time. And we had built up a pretty big Facebook page for flipping, but it was all focused on basically letting all the realtors in town know when we had a project coming online because we didn't pre-sell anything. And so people would give us deals. But then when I transitioned and said, I need to be building my brand, it was a tough transition. For one, it didn't make sense for my flipping page to now all of a sudden become the Katie Neason page. For one, it was me and my mom who were partners. And I didn't know who I was supposed to be talking to. So I was like, I know that it makes sense to build my brand, but I didn't know for what. So it's like, everybody says, dig the well before you need it. Brilliant advice, but what the hell does that mean? Like, who am I talking to? Am I talking to future investors? Am I talking to? And so I tried to do it for myself and just struggled. And like, who am I talking to? I don't know. I just didn't know. So it would be super inconsistent. I'd go for a week and do it like every day and then a month and do nothing. And then I was at a mastermind.
Sounds like me.
Yeah.
You don't have the same problem. It's not, Tim. That's not
it's not the same. Well, I was at this mastermind and we're talking about, building your personal brand and hearing the same thing, dig the well. And I was like, but what does that mean? And a girl there was like, I've been hiring this girl who's really talented. And she started kind of doing my social media. She speaks in my voice really well. And I'm like, that's great. But everybody's like, hire a VA, right? It's way less expensive.
Yeah.
And she was like, so what are you going to tell the VA to do? Like, hell if I know. They were like, the VA is the technical person. They can take the information and post it, but they don't know you. They don't know what you're doing. They don't know about flipping. Like, they're not going to be able to create it. So I started talking to this girl, fell in love with her. She's in the States. And I said, here's the deal. I can't afford you. I had 1,000 followers when I hired her, 1,000 followers. And I said, I can't afford you, but I'll pay for you for 6 months. But at the end of 6 months, you have to have figured out a way to generate income off my brand to cover your cost. And she did. And now we have 90 something thousand followers. She proposed a couple of ideas to me and I was like, oh, no, that feels icky. No, I'm not doing that. And then I kept getting all these people saying, hey, like, I see you're doing that in your town, but can I do that in my town?
Yeah.
Like, that's like a 6-month research project. I don't know. She's like, we need to teach these people how to find out if they can do it in their town. And that's kind of what kicked off the revenue generating side of it. And then we had an audience to talk to. We understood why we were on social media. And once we dialed that in, I mean, it wasn't fast. This all happened slow, but it started really building consistently.
If you're looking for more REVB knowledge, then hop into our school community. It's where we plug show notes from these episodes and where you can find a supportive community of real estate professionals that want to grow their personal brand and business with video. So whether you're just getting started or you're scaling your content machine, you're going to find the support and accountability you need. Head over to school.com/REVB, or if you're watching, scan the QR code to join our community. All right, let's get back to the show. It seems like and I don't think that this is exactly how it is, but summarizing in very broad strokes, like you kind of lucked into a person, right? Like if you had to give the advice, because like my videographer, right, I would have the same thing. Like he's a friend of a friend. I got introduced to him back in 2019 and we've been together for like 6 years. And it's like, he's gotten so
he's amazing.
He is
What's his name and number?
I'll send it to you. But no, but like when people,
he's gone on to do so much awesome stuff too, like with you.
Yeah. But when people, how do I find someone like him? I'm like, it was luck. Here are things that you can do. So my question is, if you had to go back and do it again, knowing now that like hiring someone was the unlock for you to actually do consistent content and find a brand voice and like get the thoughts out of your head and into, the metaverse, what advice would you give to someone if they needed to hire someone? Like I would almost call them a brand strategist, but like the title would be.
Yes, totally. Number one is you need to enjoy and want to be around the person because you're kind of at your most vulnerable self. And if you don't enjoy being around them, you're going to resist being with them to create the content and strategize. So that's one. My person did not have a background in social media. She was an actress from New York, had relocated out to Denver. And then because of all of COVID was kind of like trying to find where her life was going to take her. And she was amazing at storytelling. So usually what you hear is all the technical side. How many times are you going to post? And we don't follow any of those rules. I only post 3 times a week. We don't post 3 times a day. And so, like we broke all of the rules and it worked for us. Like that made me feel like it was something I could do. But what she was so good at was telling the story. So how we started was for like 2 weeks, she would just ask me questions and understand my story and put together like the branding of it. This is who we're talking to. This is the message. Basically went through the book story branding, right? And all of that had to happen before we could start producing social media. And I even got a little impatient with it. But basically it has to be a person that gets you, that can understand it. But most importantly, if your gift isn't copywriting or communicating, someone who can pull it out of you and package it up. And that's what it was for me. I was telling you, Katie, before we started, I could not post what I post on social media about myself. Like, I'm like, when I read it, I'm like, damn, that does sound good. But if I were to write that about myself, I'm like, who do I think I am? Like, I could not do it. And sometimes that's just your personality. You have to find like, what is it that's stopping you and then hire for that. And a lot of times it isn't just going to find a technical person who can post on your behalf, because it's so much bigger and broader than that. More important is the story. You'll figure out the technical piece.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Is like, I think that by having that person going through that exercise, you kind of found she pulled out the things of all of the impressive things that you've done, right? To be able to form this, persona online.
Yeah. And the great thing about our structure, where I was like, I'll pay for you for 6 months, but then you got to figure out how we're going to do this. The great thing about that is it wasn't ever me going, dude, you're not doing your job. Because I didn't even know, are you doing your job? What are you doing? And then it wasn't her like, well, you're like an obstacle. It's like we were pulling in the same direction and she knew clearly what obstacle she had to hit. And I just had to be game. And so it was a really good trial period. Like if you can set up just a period of time where you have benchmarks and see how well you work together. And like, I fully have to trust her. She has access to my iCloud. I just take pictures and I take videos. They go in and clip them and put it together. And when it comes out on Instagram, that's the first time I've seen it. And if it's at least 90% good, I'm good with that. And every once in a while I have to be like, hey, I don't have a brother. Oh, I must have pulled a blog that your mom wrote talking about her brother. So every once in a while, like it goes wrong. Or one time she said somebody invested in my project. I'm like, they actually didn't invest money. You need to talk to them and make sure we're not they were part of the project, but not the way we perceived it. So a couple of times, like it has been wrong, but I'm like, I don't want to slow you down and I don't need to critique you because I was doing a horrible job. I only had 1,000 followers when I hired you. And so now when I refer her to some other people, which I'm super protective of because eventually I just want her to work for me. But I'm like, she works with these people and they're like, oh no, can you change the wording like this? Can you say it a little bit like this? Oh, I want it to be perfect. And I'm like, dude, you're just getting in your own way. If you were so damn good at it, why didn't you just do it yourself before you hired anyone? So I just give her full reign to do what she thinks is appropriate.
Tim, I think you need to get that name and phone number.
So Katie, you're sitting there, however long ago this was, not knowing what the brand's going to be, not knowing where to go forward, kind of at a loss. And then, you find this person and you kind of figure out a path to get to where you're at today. Mm-hmm. How is your brand? What is your brand now? And why do you think it was so hard to kind of see that path when you were trying to figure it out?
Yeah, I think it's like I forget exactly how to say it, but when you know so much that you don't realize you know stuff other people don't. So I was like, I don't really know anything people don't want to know. Like, just go talk to your city. Like all of these things that just seem natural because I just did them. Like, people don't want to know that. Like, there's nothing brilliant in that. But when you had someone from the outside that's like, what are you talking about? Like, I wouldn't know how to do that. I'd totally be intimidated by the process. So it's like I got in my own way and I couldn't see my own value. And she was able to pull the value out of what I was doing.
And I love that. I think, there's a saying that when you're in the jar, you can't read the label, right? And it's really hard to see some of those things that we take for granted that other people see in us and like. And, Katie and I, we always joke because Katie puts out like thousands of videos. I mean, she's a machine and I overthink everything. And that's why we work together, right? Because like we balance each other in that way. And so many times I just want to say something to the audience that they care about, but I just don't know. Like, I don't know because I'm in my own head. And so I love that.
In there.
Yeah.
I just let that go.
So you have advice as far as like taking those first steps forward?
Yeah. I mean, really, I think it's letting it go. And that is so hard, especially for a perfectionist, which, by the way, I think a perfectionist is just someone making excuses.
That's me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so I just decided, like, I can't remember the amount of time, but I was like, for some set of time, I'm not going to tell her what to do. I'm not going to dictate how she should do it. I'm just going to let her do it. And then we can reassess and we can tweak. But since I already know that's not what I do and I couldn't do it on my own, like, let them do their job and then reassess. But if you're the one trying to dictate the job, you've already proven you don't know what you're doing. So, but the key that made that work is she was good at the storytelling. So it has to be somebody who can pull the story out of you. She doesn't misrepresent me. She totally talks in my voice. But that's just like her gift, right? Is that she can do that. So you got to find a person who can do that. And then I like incentivize her I give her 20% of all of the net profit that we make off of my brand. And so she's incentivized. What I think is so important for anybody who's working for you, it doesn't matter what role, I want them to be thinking about it when I'm not. And the reality is what I find with most of my employees, I'm saying, hey, have you thought about this? Did we follow up on this? And I'm more like really managing them, right? But she'll say, hey, I've been working on this. I'm thinking about going this direction. And what do you think? And I'm like, I don't know what I think, but thank you for thinking. Like, that's what I want. Because that's how you multiply yourself, is someone thinking about something you need to do that isn't you. But most of the time, people are so task focused, and then you're just trying to follow up on their task. So it's like, how can you align the incentives where they're incentivized to grow bigger and bigger because they're rewarded for that?
You know, it's funny too. Sorry, Katie. Just my last thought on that. Such a good thought from guest Katie. This is confusing, but yeah. So one piece there too is I jump on calls with people all the time and look at their social. And some people are so wrapped up in what they think their social needs to be and what they want it to say that they won't go outside of that. And what I love and what I'm hearing from you, like, you were just so open to not having so much of what you thought was the right way to do social and just being open-minded into telling different stories and saying different things. And I think that's a big piece too, because agents, they just care probably too much about it.
Yeah. And I just try and be so transparent. Like, I put all my numbers out there. It always surprises me, the reels that everyone loves. And like, you just keep doing them over and over again. I'm like, can y'all love something else? But no, they just keep loving the same thing. But then it's also the ones that just bring on the most hateful, vile.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know what? That's just kind of part of the fun. Like, you guys are helping me grow my brand. Thank you. But at first it was hard. And I kind of know once we hit a certain number of views, just quit reading the comments, because they go from smartass, which I'm a smartass. I feel like I'm a king of smartasses. So I like to respond to those until they go so dirty and so vile and so dark. And then I'm like, I just can't read any more of those. Yeah. But the reality is, like, lean into it, because those people commenting are just helping your message get out to more people.
It's always, I think you have to have read enough of them to be able to get to that point, because I think everyone has that, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. Like, people are just not great, right? Like, you would never say that to someone in real life, right? But just behind a keyboard, behind a screen, people, just, it's a little wild. So you mentioned,
gotta have a disconnect.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. You mentioned that you've incentivized your brand person that, okay, you get a percentage of the profit. So what does that look like, as far as, not like numbers, but like as far as, so you have like courses and downloads and things like that, right?
Yep. So we have courses and downloads. I do public speaking. So public speaking engagements through my brand. So I give her the net profit of that. And what I love about it being the net profit is she'll be like, oh, I'm drowning. Like, we need a VA to just help me do some stuff. And I'm like, okay, that impacts you too. So like, she is really going to stress herself because she has to give up part of her pay. And by the way, almost all of her pay comes in that bonus. It's just a small retainer for the monthly piece. And so, everything that is with my brand likeness, and I try to be generous. Like, if it's questionable, I push it towards brand likeness, because I want her to win more, so she'll fight harder, right, to do more. But all of my real estate, like my development deals, those are different entities. They're not, so it's pretty easy to separate the businesses one from the other. A little, sometimes they kind of cross, and you're like, but if there's other business partners involved, I'm like, that has to go in a different bucket. But if it's any income that's being generated just to me personally because of my name, that's easy. Then I just put it and track it in the brand likeness category.
Yeah. No, it's because I think that, we have a decent amount of people that probably listen to this podcast that do have people that work with them. And like, there's always the like trying to figure out pay. And I have lots of conversations with people that run real estate teams, right? And they're like, oh, well, I told Tim that I would pay him X amount and then this on every deal, or this at the end of the year, or this net profit each month. And like, they're like, but he's not motivated by that, right? And it's like, I think for this, especially around brand, it's like you can see a correlation between like you having more followers and more views and more shares and saves on social, then resulting in more speaking requests and downloads and all of the things, right? And so like, go ahead, Tim.
Well, I also think sometimes we overpay the wrong people and then we underpay the right people. And, I think one piece, like we were talking to Josh Rogers about the fact that he has these videos with the VA down to $3 a video. He's got the process. He could literally copy paste that process and have 10 VAs that could do the same thing. And a lot of our people are overpaying for the easy stuff, right? Like they're overpaying the wrong people. And then they get somebody like you have, who's kind of sounds like you maybe oversell it a little bit, but kind of brought your brand out of the ground with 1,000 followers to 90,000. Like this is a great person. And that's the one where we're like, oh, they want this much a year. Like this seems like a lot. Like, no, that's the person. Figure out how to overpay. And, I think that balance is always a challenge.
Yeah. And I think the idea is to find a way that they can grow to make as much as they want, as long as you're aligned. Because at first I couldn't have paid her like with the bonuses and stuff we pay now. I would have never done that because I am so risk averse. I'm like, I got to see the path. And we lost everything in the savings and loan crisis. That's always in the back of my mind. Like, I don't want to overextend myself and find myself in that position. So now her income is unlimited within reason. Like, I'm not like, we're trying to do some affiliates. Like, that's kind of like the direction maybe we're going to go, but it has to make sense. And I don't know what affiliates make sense with development, but like, it's not free reign. Like, I have to feel really good about the brand and my name being on it. And I'm in the town I develop in, right? Yeah. I'm going to sit next to my tenants. They're all going to see my Instagram. I'm not going to put something out there that I'm not going to want to face, face to face with the people who are seeing it. And so, like it has boundaries, but we're pulling in the same direction. So it's not really an issue.
Mark your calendar. Real Estate Video Blueprint Live is back. We're taking over Nashville, Tennessee on April 8th and 9th, 2026 for 2 full days of hands-on content creation, marketing strategy, and collaboration with the best agents in the business. If you're serious about using video to grow your personal brand and close more deals, this is the room that you want to be in. Grab your ticket now at realestatevideoblueprint.com and we'll see you in Nashville. As you were saying that, I was trying to think of something really weird to be like, oh yeah, for 15% off, insert thing here. And I could think of something weird.
Like what, lumber? I mean, I don't know.
That'd be finger pointers. No, for those of you
I use this on all my job sites.
Watching, Tim's got a little hand pointer thing that he likes to pull out on Zoom calls.
You just use your natural finger, I saw.
Oh, me?
If you're not watching the video, I may have gotten a bird to fly by halfway through the interview.
That's honestly early for me to be flipping Tim the bird.
Oh, it's the third of the day though. This is not our first call together.
Well, I'm glad I was able to pull it out. I feel like I've really done my job here.
No, I think you understand the dynamic here, Katie. So we're good there. What advice would you have for like if you're not hiring the person or you're not doing the thing, like you kind of mentioned it earlier about kind of getting out of your own way or getting out of your own head, right? And how like you could not for the life of you like write the things. And so for you, the solution was hiring the person to understand you, understand your brand, understand your voice, and create the content within the, because there are some parameters, but like within the parameters that you agreed to. For someone that doesn't have the budget or the ability to hire someone today and they're doing it themselves, like what advice would you give to them? Because like now you see that the personal brand works. You see that putting out content works.
Yeah.
How would you advise them?
One, commit to consistency you can keep up with. So if you can only post once a week, only post once a week. Don't post 7 days and then 1 day. And then, so whatever consistent that you can keep up with, do that. But then pull yourself out. Don't think about it as I'm talking about myself. Try to think about you're writing a novel about a character and you just happen to be the character. If you're the kind of person who's like, I can't say this about myself. I'm not saying this about myself. Think about someone else you admire or look up to. How would I describe this situation if they were the ones doing it? So that you kind of get out of your own head and just convince yourself that you're basically talking about an avatar, not yourself.
Yeah, I think so many people get really wrapped up in who they are on social media. and having that disconnect. I think, like you said, from the comments and just what you post, like creating whatever that disconnect is important.
And if you're a perfectionist, intentionally do something wrong, like use there the wrong way, because that just gets everybody riled up. Like if it should be THEIR, do THERE. Intentionally mess up if you're a perfectionist so you can get over it. And then let all of those people act like you're a screw up and you're like, dude, I totally meant to do that. It's fine. But you have to get out of your own way as a perfectionist, because you will, in all areas of life, you will stifle your success. And my husband is a perfectionist and he wants to proofread. When we tried to write his blog, he'd proofread everything. I'm like, dude, I've got deadlines. Let's just let it go. And he just can't. No, someone might think I spelled wrong. Like, who the hell cares? You don't even know these people. Like, just get it out there.
We're doing this video challenge and I have to post a video every day, and it makes me post videos that aren't that great, or at least I don't think they're that great, that I would never in a million years post. But it just gets me in the habit of not overthinking it and just hitting the button. So it's been a ton of fun. But I want to ask you about this, Katie. I think we've had like a really good conversation on the social stuff, and it's been really good. But I do know a lot of the reasons why we push agents to build their brand and do content as opposed to all the other things they can do is that I think it gives them freedom. Like, it's much easier life and business to have when business is coming in because you've built this brand, as opposed to just prospecting day in and day out and just that constant grind. And with that being said, another way to improve your life is to invest in real estate, right? Is to build this portfolio so you're not just hustling real estate commission to commission. So if somebody wants to get started in building that wealth that's going to get them out of the commission to commission life, like, what's your advice for them?
Yeah. Get around people who make the next step feel easy. First thing is decide what you want to do. Every strategy in real estate will work. You're not looking for the secret strategy and you're going to pick the wrong one. Pick a strategy, just freaking decide, and then get around people that make the next step feel easy. Because if you surround yourself with people who haven't done it and see all the obstacles, that's all you'll see. If you get around people who are just doing it and the next step feels easy, you won't worry about that and you'll start seeing the opportunity. So number one thing is decide what you're going to do and then do whatever it takes. Proximity matters. Get around people doing it so that you can see the possibility in yourself through them.
How would you recommend finding those people other than, going to your page and seeing the things that you offer, right? Because I think especially in like the development and flipping world, there are a lot of scammers out there.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
So like what advice do you have on finding the people that aren't full of shit?
You got to get in the industry, like go to the conferences. You'll start gravitating towards people that you like. Like I'm a big fan now. I came from a mom who's fiercely independent. We're all girls. We're all fiercely independent. And I hung all my pride on that. And then went, this is stupid. Like, I can get there so much faster if I just take advice of other people too, instead of doing everything on my own. So the challenge, when I started finding masterminds, I thought the same thing. All these real estate people, they're all scammy. And you should go with that skepticism. But if you can find people that you truly trust and value who are actually doing what they're teaching, that's a good start. And they don't even have to be doing exactly what you're doing. If you're just around high achievers and problem solvers, y'all don't have to be solving the same problem. Like, that's a gift. It doesn't have to be focused on a certain area. And so like small focus mastermind groups once your budget allows. And basically my rule of thumb is if you're deciding whether or not you're going to join a mastermind based on the content, you're not ready to pay for a mastermind because you are not there for the content. If you're looking to learn content, go to the podcast, go to the conferences. But once you realize you just need to be in the room with big thinkers, it doesn't matter if you know the content or not, then you're probably ready to invest in a higher level to see like what it's like to be around big thinkers.
Yeah, I will love this topic. This is the one thing that got me through my first year of real estate so I could go build a career, was going to real estate investor meetups. And I guess I'm just lucky enough to have a pretty good radar to be able to latch on to the people who are doing it well. And because you're right, like I would say 80% of the room is usually, or 90% of the room of those things are full of crap.
You're not even doing it, just talking.
Yeah. and I think, like if you really want to get into the weeds on this stuff, like you should be able to figure out who's actually doing it by going and looking at actual property records. And so I was creepy. Like if I met Katie Day and she said, hey, I'm doing this, like I would go look up the address on the flip, see some LLC owns it. Oh, that is linked to her. Go look at how many homes that LLC owns. I'm like, oh, she's the real deal. She's doing something.
You're my people. Trust but verify.
Yeah. So I think like finding the people that aren't full of crap is big. But then the other side of it that I'm big on is like, if I know Katie flips houses, then I want her to mentor me. Right. And I always feel bad because agents are like, I need to find a mentor. I'm like, nobody that's flipping a bunch of houses, doing what you want to do, they're not sitting around saying, I wish I had someone to mentor. Right? Like it just doesn't work like that. But in my experience, if I know they flip houses, then I'm going to go find them a deal. And if I bring them a deal, I've found a mentor. And like, I think this whole idea of adding value to people is so wishy-washy, right? And it's like, go find somebody a deal and you can get in the game.
Yep. And and it doesn't even have to be if you're like, but I don't know how to find a deal. That's like, if they're a podcaster like you guys, you are talking about stuff on here all the time. If you have some challenge in your life that you can't figure out, like your technical issue or whatever that you're trying to set up, and you're like, dude, I can do that. Like volunteer to solve problems for people that they're having. It doesn't have to be in the world of real estate because people naturally want to give if they've been given to. And the reality is most active real estate people want to help.
They do.
Time is limited and most people will never do anything. So if anyone, which people reach out to me all the time, I'm in a huge college town. So I get students here all the time that come across and they're like, oh, I'm in college and I'd love to do this. And, can I pick your brain? And so I always give them an assignment. I've only had one person ever do the assignment. I'm like, and it's usually like read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is a book that kind of changes a lot of people's mindset. I'm like, read that, and then we'll sit down, and that's what we'll talk about. And just call me back when you're done reading it. No one but one person has ever called back. And if they've read it, then I'll do Richest Man in Babylon. Like I just pick a different one, right? To give them something to do. The one person who ever called back, it was how way back in the day when I was getting my 1,000 followers, I was like, just video me, just do stuff so I will have video when I'm on site. I basically gave her 3 things because she's like, I'll go to Home Depot and buy your materials. I'm like, that is not helpful. You don't know what you're buying. They're not going to release it to you. Like, that's not helpful. But here are 3 things that I'm not good at that would be helpful. And she's like, I'll take video of you. And so for once a week, she got to spend an hour with me taking videos, asking me questions. And so you can add value to people, but you have to do something for it. It's not they have to do something for you first. You have to do something for them. Yeah,
I think so many successful people that I've met love giving their time to help others, but we want to give our time. But the thing that we worry about the most is wasting our time.
Return on time, right?
Yeah,
if you're not doing something I already told you to do, don't bother me again.
Well, and that's the problem, right? It's like the people that are like that have the conversation then never do the thing. And so that's where like I love the assignment, right? Like hey, go read this book and then let's meet.
Reach back out. They don't.
Yeah.
Dude, Neil Digger gave us the best term on our podcast with him, which was the asshole. Like, don't be an asshole. Don't be like asking what the question and then don't do anything. Oh,
that's so good.
All right. Where can people connect with you?
Well, I'm always looking for more internet trolls. So you can follow me on Instagram at Katie Develops. And, I only develop in my hometown, but I'm super passionate about us all building better towns wherever we live. So if that's your passion, like that's what I do is teach you how to do it in your town. I don't want to come to your town. I want you, people, locals, invest where you're invested, sit next to the person you're renting to, and you'll be a way better real estate investor.
I love that. I feel like we could probably go on for hours, but I'm going to cut it here. I appreciate you and everything that you've shared. And if you guys aren't already following her, definitely hop on over and follow because she's dropping a lot of good knowledge and stuff on investments.
Thank you.
Thanks for having on.
Yeah. Thank you guys.